Good morning, YouTube. This is Aver coming back at you with another Torah concept concerning polygyny. And we're going to jump right into it. We're going to come out of Exodus 21:7. This is a very controversial text, and this is one of the texts that a lot of the people are using to justify and to say that the Creator has given men extra wives and that polygamy is bitten. It is bitten amongst the people of God. So, all right, let's jump right into it. 21 and verse 7. Verse 7 says, if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. All right. She does not go out as the men servant do. Let's talk about what the men servants do. The men servants, depending on why they are serving a contractual agreement. We have to understand first that the term slave, or when we read it, they use this word and they think the term slave means like in the movie Roots or chattel slavery or something of a nature of a indentured servant. Well, there are a couple ways that you can enter into servitude. One way you can enter into servitude is if you are in poverty or destitute. And you can go to a fellow person in the community and they will give you a job, so to speak. And you will come and you would work on their property and build your finance. And when you've built your finance, you're able to go on your way and stand on your feet. So it's not like a person is owning another person in that sense. It is literally written that a man can sell himself. If you have a job, you have sold yourself into servitude because you are going to work and serve the people that you work for. The second form of servitude is in the ancient times if you fell into debt. If you fell into a debt that you could not pay and the debt was too big, what you would do is you would sell yourself into servitude until you paid the debt. A person could sell themselves into servitude anywhere from 1 to 6 years. So depending on how big the debt is, depending on how much you had to pay back. Well, in this case, the young woman, she is not in a contractual agreement such as what we just talked about. She is in a contractual agreement, meaning that her family is destitute. So her father allows her to enter into a contractual agreement to go to work on a man's property with a contractual agreement ending in a marriage, meaning she shall not go out as the men do because the intent and the purpose of her being there is to work as a female servant ending in a marriage to somebody on that property. It is not like somebody asks for $4,000 or $5,000 and I'll buy your daughter. No, it's not that. In the ancient times, when you lived in a community, you wanted your daughter to be married to a young man that had a job or comes from a good family and could take care of your daughter. It is not like he sold his daughter never to be heard from again. No, this is not that. This is a community to which she went and worked on a property under a contractual agreement that would eventually end in marriage to someone on that property. But the Torah says, if she does not please her master, who hath betrothed her to himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. In other words, during the period of time that she's working on his property, he is around her. So he sees something. Say, for instance, he sees something that she's not marriage material. In the Torah, it literally uses the word ra'ah. Ra'ah is in reference to evil, such as the tree of knowledge of good and evil. But the term ra'ah also means contrary. He sees something that is contrary, meaning that they wouldn't see eye to eye as a husband and wife. So if this is the event, if this is the occasion, whereas this woman that's working on his property and he sees that they are not compatible, the Torah says he is to assist her in her redemption. And this is a good thing because it's no sense of a person being in a relationship just because you believe in the Torah or you follow the same God does not mean that you are compatible. So the Torah has a way to protect the woman from entering into a relationship. So what does this mean? He is to assist her in the redemption. He is to assist her. Well, say for instance, the way the purchase price that she was purchased for, say for instance, in our day is we work and we get a paycheck at the end of the week. Where in a contractual agreement such as this, your wage or what you were paid, everything was paid up front. So if he is to redeem this woman, aid in her redemption, it was if he had a good heart, he would reduce that purchase price so that she could redeem herself or her family. He would make it so low if he had a good heart. So the Torah is actually there to protect the woman. This is what people have failed to see. The Torah is there to protect the woman from entering into something or being taken advantage of. Now, if he has an evil heart, because the next clause of the verse deals with this, he shall not sell her to a foreign nation. Why would he want to sell her to a foreign nation? Well, the purpose of that is so that he could get his money back. If he has a dark heart, that's what the Torah is dealing with. The evil side of a man, that he would try by any means to get his money back. So the Torah comes to protect the woman and keep the woman from being taken advantage of. So now you understand what it means for her to be, he is to assist in her redemption. Now the next portion is a man who designates a female for his son, meaning that he meets with the family. And if the family agrees and the children agree, then what would happen is she would come and work on his property, and it would be the same thing. She is only on the property, and the same is the contractual agreement. She comes and she serves and she works on the property with the end result of marrying the son, right? But the Torah says that she should be dealt with in the laws of women, meaning as the laws of a daughter. Now he has to treat this young woman as his own daughter. In ancient times, they would give a dowry. He would even bring gifts to the daughter. So he had to treat her in such a way. Now, the laws of the woman also consist of three things as well. The three things that it consists of is, while she is there, three things are there to keep him in line and to keep him from breaking the contractual agreement. One is the food, one is the clothing, and the other one is the third, which is the contractual agreement to end in a marriage. He should marry her. If he fails to break any of those three things, then he has violated the contractual agreement, and the Torah says she should go out free. Now here's the problem, is the next verse. The next verse, this is the one where people say that the Creator has given unto men wives, multiple wives. Verse 10 says, if he takes to him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not be diminished. The other wife, people think that it's talking about adding another wife to your harem. But it is Achara Ish. Achara Ish is a different. Why is this woman different? This woman is different because she comes from a distinguished family in Israel. She doesn't come from a poor family. So why is she added to the equation? She's here because it is showing you that even a woman who comes from a well-off family has to be given the food, the clothing, and they cannot deny or delay a marriage to the woman if he violates any of those three things. So the Torah comes to keep the man in line and to protect the woman from being taken advantage of. So it does not matter which of these types of women did he choose, because he's got to pay a dowry. And if he cannot break the contractual agreement either way, he has to provide the food, the clothing, and he has to marry. They teach that he has food, clothing, and a conjugal right, meaning that while she's on the property, he feeds her, he clothes her, and he can intercourse with her. Now, in your right mind, what man would send his daughter into a situation where a man can feed her, clothe her, and intercourse with her? He can, without marrying her. Intercourse does not seal a marriage. Intercourse does not seal a marriage. People teach that intercourse seals a marriage, but intercourse does not seal a marriage. When they agree, intercourse consummates the marriage. You go through an agreement, finish the agreement, and then you consummate that agreement. This is not polygamy. This is a Torah command to warn them, to instruct them on how the two types of women who live in a Hebrew or Israelite community are to be treated as they are on the way to be somebody's wives. People are taking advantage of this verse and is twisting it because they don't understand that the Echad Ish, the different woman, is a woman who comes from a distinguished family, a well-off family. You have one woman who comes from a poor family, another woman in the community comes from a better family. But both women have to be protected the same way. So it is not a Torah command concerning polygamy. Now in the 17th, I think it's in the 12th chapter of the book of 2 Samuel, I want to show you another verse that they tried to use. People tried to use to say that God gave wives to men, extra wives to men. And this is the verse where Nathan comes to David and he says to him, "You are the man. I gave you your master's house, your master's wives unto your bosom. And I gave you the house of Israel and Judah. And if that had been too little, I would have moreover have given unto you such and such things." But the emphasis is on, I gave you your master's wives. I gave you your master's wives. Well, here's the problem with that. The term masters, your master is there, but the term wives is not. The Hebrew word there is nashi. It is a singular word. Wives is a plural word. Nashi means a woman, a female, feminine, or a debt. Now, if you remember, there was a case in the book of Samuel, where David loved Michal, and Michal loved David. But King Saul wanted to kill David, so he sent him out to war, and wanted 100 Philistine foreskins, which would have been the dowry for the king's daughter. This is what King Saul asked for. So David conquered and brought back 200 foreskins, and King Saul gave him Michal, his wife, his daughter, to be his wife. The prophet is reminding King David that the king and the king, both kings, the king above and the king below, gave you Michal. He gave you. The term nashi means a debt. King Saul was paying his debt to King David. So Nathan comes to remind him that the king gave you the woman. He gave you his daughter into your bosom. Why did you kill Uriah and take his wife? People don't understand the Hebrew language and the Hebrew culture. You're going to corrupt something real quick. He did not give him the king's wives to intercourse. Another thing people don't understand, the term nashi is singular. The term nashim, which it doesn't use, but just say, for instance, if it did use the word nashim, the term nashim means men, women, and children. David was raised in a royal household. And when David moved up into the royal house as the king, he did not put those people out on the street. They were still members of the royal family. If you remember when David was running from King Saul and he was on top of the cliff, he came into the cave and he cut the clothing of King Saul and took his sword and went on top of the cliff and called out to him and told Abner, "You have not protected your king." And when he realized that what had happened to him, King Saul said, "My soul is precious in your sight. My soul is precious in your sight." And he said, "Where did you ever hear?" David said, "Where did you ever hear that I meant you harm?" He said, "But wickedness proceeds from the wicked." And when King Saul heard this, he said, You will be king. And when you are king, remember my sons." If you look at this book of Samuel, he took Michal in. He took some of Jonathan's people in. He had Rizpah, which was the concubine of King Saul, around him. He did not throw the members of the royal family. He kept them members of the royal family. Another thing people don't understand is the homosexuals try to twist another verse in this book where Jonathan and David had a moment where they were talking. And it said Jonathan loved David with the love of a woman. But of course, when you look in the Hebrew, it's not what you say as a woman. It's the love of the Nashim. People don't know that the Nashim is the 7 orders of the Mishnah. The 7 orders of the Mishnah are 7 laws that are used to govern the children of Israel in certain situations so that they would know what to do. The Nashim consists of 7 tetracts: Yavamoth, Ketavath, Nedarim, Nezar, Sota, Geten, and Kedushin. I don't have time to go through them all, but I tell you, the Yavamoth is the levirate, the Ketavath is the prenuptial, the Nedarim is the vows, the Nezer is the one who abstains, and Sota is the wayward woman, Geten is the divorce document, and the Kedushin is the betrothal. But Jonathan took off his robe and placed it on David. And the purpose of this is a transfer of power, because he knew that he wasn't going to be king. Now, David was referring to the Nedarim, not the Nedarim, but the Nashim, the number 1 tetract. It's called the Yavamoth. The Yavamoth is when a brother dies who has a wife, but he has no son and he has an inheritance. When Jonathan died, David was that brother that stuck up and took the inheritance and took the wife. What was the inheritance? The inheritance, and what was the wife? It was Israel. It was Judah. Jonathan would have been the husband, and Israel would have been as a wife to it. He would have ruled over it. But it was David that moved up in the law of the Nashim. These are the things that are in the culture and in the text that if people don't understand, they will corrupt. As I told you, the homosexuals tried to insinuate that it was some type of homosexual relationship between these two, when really this was a transfer of inheritance of the levirate law. If you understand the spirit of it, you will understand the law. I will come back again and we will visit this topic concerning polygamy once again, dealing with Moses did not have 2 and 3 wives. He had 1. And I'll deal with the beautiful women that you find in captivity. 1 loved and 1 hated. God bless you.